Far away there in the sunshine are my highest aspirations. I may not reach them, but I can look up and see their beauty, believe in them, and try to follow where they lead. So wrote Louisa May Alcott. Aspirations are the things that move us forward, that give us purpose. I was recently reminded of an aspiration I had back in 2013 when I moved down to Maryland to pastor a church. This historic house was on the market and I missed it. Well, it recently sold again. It sits on the historic Nottingham lots in which 1701 William Penn divvied up parcels of land to attract people to come into the area. This house was built in 1746 as etched in the stone. I said to my husband, if I had this home, I probably never really left Maryland. But Fritz and the chickens are happy that I am here at Old Stonewall Farm, keeping them safe and secure, especially since we have a new resident. An owl has moved in, and every night it really makes the chickens nervous, and I gotta chase it away. But that drama aside, every morning I take time to greet the new day and to remember to reach for my aspirations and not be afraid. For all around me, I am reminded of others who took a chance. Consider Bardwell began a Vermont dairy co-op in 1846, taking milk from local farmers, turning it into cheese and selling it in Manhattan. Today, a former Manhattan book editor owns this business and creates cheese from the local milk from farmers. I'm quite fond of the cheese named after our village, Rupert. But here in what is known as the Goat Cave, there's an interesting mural on the wall that was created by an intern back in 2010. It reminded me of the primitive cave paintings that I've seen pictures of, especially the famous caves that are located in Lascaux, France. They were founded in 1940 by 4 teenage boys, and they're more than 20,000 years old. And the drawings tell us about a people who aspired to big things. Having vision is not a modern reality. Having vision is as old as time. So welcome to Old Stonewall Farm. Without vision, the people will perish. I don't know how many times I have used that piece of scripture in meetings as I try to inspire people to move forward, to get an idea in their head where they want to go and to carry it out. I've especially used it in churches that were trying to discern the future. And it's a reminder that we need something to wake up to in the morning. We need a purpose. We need a goal. We need those lofty aspirational dreams that give us the passion for life. And without a vision, then what is there? Without something to work towards, what is there? As I promised, I was going to take you to the Consider Bardwell Farm because a few weeks ago when I was making cheese, I told you that I went to the farm. It's right up the road from me, and I was snooping around and I discovered those primitive paintings of the goats in the goat barn. The Goat Cave, it's called. It's where they used to make the cheese. Now, they were inspired, the owner tells me, by the primitive cave paintings that were discovered in southern France. And as the owner was telling me about the goats on the wall, she was getting so captivated by the drawings. She was being transported to a different place. And I could see as she continued to tell me about how the goats would graze in the pasture across the road, and then they would know the person that was going to feed them, and their eyes would be alert, and they would come running over. And she just went on to tell how the goats would live in the pastures and what their daily lives would be like. And as she told the story, she was becoming more animated, and you could see that there was this strong connection between her and the animals and what they were creating. And that was the inspiration behind the Rupert primitive cave paintings. The intern that was working at the farm in 2010, she was also an artist, and she was inspired by the caves in southern France to create such a feeling, to evoke such a feeling here in Vermont. And she said that it was powerful to do that because it was a connection between nature and man. It was that way of honoring what the Creator has given us. It's very interesting to discover as I was doing more research on the caves that were discovered in southern France that date back to some 20,000 years, that archaeologists and scientists, all those that study such findings, they couldn't agree as to why these drawings were made. They are a mystery to us today as to what led these people to draw these sketches. And there is part of the caves that is called the Hall of Bulls. And one bull that was drawn is like 16 feet on the stone. But it was interesting, they said that out of all the illustrations that they found in this particular cave system, that it wasn't the primitive people telling of how they hunted, what they were hunting, what sustained them. Not at all. If anything, what was drawn was aspirational. These weren't paintings of a daily life in the hunter and what they were going to have for dinner, because a lot of researchers say that what they ate back then were mainly reindeer, because they found a lot of bones of reindeer all around. There was very few, if at all, depictions of what they ate on the wall or people hunting. Rather, what was drawn was the big animals that were not really within their reach, that were too big or too dangerous and too hard to hunt. And that got me thinking, were these drawings found in France, these primitive cave drawings, were they basically ancient vision boards? Now, if you're not familiar with a vision board, it is a technique to create like a poster of all these images and sayings that for what you want to aspire to help you achieve it. And I have a friend just recently who told me that she does a vision board every start of the new year, and she sets her mind as to what she hopes to achieve in the coming year, and she creates a vision board, and she cuts pictures from magazines and whatever she could find, and she pastes it or glues it onto this board, and that is her reminder each and every day as to what she wants to achieve. So these cave paintings of these animals that were not within their reach because they didn't have the right weapons or they were just too big and scary to hunt. But these were the animals that were found on the caves, the paintings. So were these people, in a way, creating a vision board? Are they dreaming of the what if? Were they hoping for that really big achievement? As they hoped and dreamed, they created a vision for it and they basically drew it out. That's what I think the illustrations are. Who knows? But I'm not an archaeologist. I used to want to be an archaeologist when I was younger. All the stories I've heard of these cave paintings and how there's so many different theories and it's all a mystery. Was it their way of worshiping these great animals? Was it a spiritual depiction? The only thing we can say for sure was that the animals that they ate and hunted were not part of the drawings. I still say that those cave paintings were the ancient vision boards. What helps you hone in a vision? What is it that you are aspiring to? What is that great big, not woolly mammoth or big bull, but what is that great big aspirational dream that you can see, you can envision, but it doesn't seem to be quite within your reach? That doesn't mean you give up. That doesn't mean you don't find a way. That means you continue to hold on to the vision and trust that someday, somehow, you will succeed. I shared with you earlier on about the house in Maryland that would have been my dream house. And twice I lost out on buying it. Now, for me, my vision is always an old house with lots of fireplaces, and the older the better. My goal, my dream is to really own a house that was built in the 1600s. And people might say, my mother might say, how come you're never content with what you have? Well, I am content. I'm very grateful for what I have here in Vermont. I am. But my love for an old house is basically the vision that I hold on to, and what gives me life. And I think about the cave drawings as the ancient vision board, and I think about my friend who does vision boards to help her achieve her goals in the coming year. And while I never did a vision board, I do remember that when I was in 5th grade, I had a book about Plymouth Colony, the Pilgrims. And I remember there was this one page that had a picture of an old house, one of the old houses, and it was taken in the fall, and the sun was shining, and the tree was just blazing orange. And the way the angle of the sun shone on the old planks of the house, the siding, it just captivated me. And I remember every night before I went to bed, I would have that book right by my bedside. And every night I would turn to that page, to that picture, and I would stare at it, and I would dream about living in such a house. I would imagine the smell of the fall air. I would imagine how vibrant the colors were. I basically kept looking at that picture and envisioning living in such a place, having such a life. So these cave paintings were perhaps early people trying to envision what they wanted. The cave paintings in Rupert, they are envisioning and capturing the life that this woman who owns this business now wanted. A life away from Manhattan, and to be her own boss, and to reconnect with nature. So I invite you right now to take a moment and think about what your cave painting would be. What would be your vision board if you were to make one? But most of all, take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Envision the life that you want. Envision the world you want our children to live in. See it. Taste it. Dream it. And then hold it dear to your heart and know that it will happen if it's important to you, if you hold on to it, if you take the steps that you need to take. It will happen. Yes, without vision, the people will perish. Envisioning the life that we are aspiring to gives us purpose, gives us direction. It shows us a little bit more of who we are, that is, the who God made us to be. It reveals the things that are important to us. So go out there and create your own cave painting. Envision your dreams and know they are within reach.
Hold on steady and strong. Here's the dawn coming on, won't be long. Then the sun will come shining through to show me the place I once knew. Fare thee well, and adieu. Fare thee well, with this song I'll be gone. Fare thee well. The old man's here and he's fine. He has come here